Hey, so this is for buy box price. Now, before I get to the start, just keep in mind that you have to have the add-on installed and have it activated with your subscription ID. If the ID doesn't save for whatever reason, do it in incognito mode to bypass Google's cache. Also, make sure that you've entered your seller nickname or your ID into our system in Gorilla ROI, and that way you can use just names rather than long, complicated seller ID numbers. And thirdly, if you're in Europe or in a Spanish-speaking country, when you use a formula, make sure you use semicolon instead of a comma like in the English-speaking countries. Okay, so let's get started. In the first column, I've already listed out the ASINs. Okay, I'm using equals gorilla underscore ASIN list. So check that video out if you don't know how to do it. Same thing with SKUs. I can use a SKU list instead of ASIN. But in this example, I've got my ASINs already for this test seller 2 account. To bring the buy box price, it's as easy as, I'm going to delete this. It's as easy as going to do gorilla underscore buy box price. As you type it, it's going to drop down and you'll see the rest of the options that you can do. So buy box price, I'm going to select this and it's going to highlight each attribute or filter one at a time. Right now it's dark green on the seller ID or the nickname. So I'm going to select test seller 2. Now, if you want, you could just manually type it in inside quotation marks like this, but it's not going to make it dynamic if you have multiple seller IDs or stores that you want to switch between. So I'm going to select test seller 2 and then comma to move on to the next one. And it's asking me for the SKU or the ASIN. We use those interchangeably. And rather than just selecting one SKU or one ASIN, I'm going to drag from A2 down to A16. And this way it will load all of the information in bulk, comma, and you can select the marketplace to even get narrower. So like if you're in Europe and you want to get it for each of say France, Italy, Spain, etc., you can actually create another column and have all of the data per marketplace if you want. But for the purpose of this example, I'm just going to do US. And again, I'm hard coding it simply because this account is only in the US, but I could also have left it empty and it's going to default to the marketplace that you chose when you connected it to our system. So US and then comma condition, go through the documentation or the box and it's telling you, okay, do you want to look it up for the new or the used? By default, it's going to look up the new. So I'm just going to skip that and I'm going to close this formula out for a second for the first one, and you'll see the very basic result is a single column of results of the prices per ASIN. Now, if I want to extend the functionality of this so that I can get, say, different return types, I'm going to do gorilla underscore buy box price again, select my test seller 2 account nickname, comma, I'm going to select the range of the ASINs, comma. The marketplace, I'm just going to skip this time. The condition, I'm going to skip this time. And the return style. Now, again, look at the documentation to get an understanding of what it is. The return style is telling me, okay, do I want to return it as a table, which I want. So in this case, let me just quickly take a look. Okay. Okay, so I want to create a table of results of the different listings and the different buy box prices at the moment. So what I'm going to do is full with header, and I know this because it says it right here, or the different attributes that you can use. So full with header is one of them. But one thing to note is if I'm going to use this full with header option, I can't select a range because it's going to show me multiple rows for the same SKU, and so it's going to end up overlapping. I'm going to change this SKU to, now this is an instance where you do only use one SKU or ASIN instead of a range. So if I change that to one SKU to only load A2, you'll see that it created a table and it's now showing me two listing information, two buy box information. So one is an Amazon fulfillment, one is a FBM fulfilled. And this way you can create a table with all of the information related to the buy box price.